Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for one bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
After Dark. This is Josh Bowe, one of the many editors over at MavsMoneyball.com, coming to you after a fairly disappointing Mavericks loss. Dallas falls to the Cleveland Cavaliers 100-99 in overtime in Cleveland. It was really one of the bigger gut punch losses for the Mavericks in what is quickly becoming a season filled with gut punch losses. As you might already know, and in case you did not know, the Mavericks basically punted this game for the most part. Luka Doncic and Spencer Dinwiddie were held out on the second night of a back-to-back. It was really unfortunate with Luka because he didn't play in the fourth quarter. Friday night in the blowout win against the Trailblazers, he played 29 minutes. And Cleveland has the largest contingency of Slovenians in the United States of any American city. So obviously that's a bummer that Luka wasn't able to play, but the NBA's crazy schedule kind of demands these teams to make these kind of outlandish decisions. That only ends up screwing the fans, but that's another topic for another day. For this game, without Luka, without Dinwiddie, in addition to the actual injured Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell, who injured his thigh and had to exit the game Friday against Portland, and Josh Green, who still has a sprained elbow, who did not play. That's 5 major rotation players in a Mavericks rotation that's really like eight. That really feels like it's 8 or 9 guys deep most nights. That's 2 starters, and that's 3 starters, and then your 2 probably most important pieces that come off the bench. And somehow the Mavericks made this a game against one of the best teams in the league in Cleveland at home. And Cleveland was also on a back-to-back, but they played in Cleveland Friday night, so no travel for them. The Mavericks had to travel last night. So it was really a surprising game through and through, and really an inspiring effort by the Mavericks. Kemba Walker started, looked like old Kemba Walker, played 42 minutes, had 32 points on 12 of 25 shooting. His 3-ball was a little off, 4 of 13, but he was really good getting in the paint. He had 7 assists, 2 turnovers. He was basically the Mavericks offense. the Mavericks basically just were like, okay, Kemba's Luka, and let's let him run a high pick and roll and dribble the ball for 20 seconds and hope he figures it out. And he did for most of it, most of the game. Really a credit to Kemba, who really hasn't played much this season. He hasn't really gotten into a bunch of games outside of the 20 minutes he played in that Chicago loss when, again, another game where Luka was sitting. So Kemba hasn't really been a big fixture in the rotation when Luka is healthy. So I don't know. We'll have to see if this type of performance is going to change things up when Luka returns next week. Other than Kemba, it was Christian Wood. Those two were dynamite in the pick and roll. Wood had a monster game, 26 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, only 1 turnover, 9 of 18 shooting. Again, his 3-point shot was a little wonky as well, 5 of 13 from the floor. Those two guys were it. I mean, the Mavericks only scored 99 points, and those two guys combined to score 58 of the 99 points. Outside of that, the Mavericks didn't have a lot going. Obviously, when you're missing 5 key players, your bench is going to be extremely thin. And yeah, the bench combined for 9 points. Jaden Hardy did get some minutes. He got 13 minutes. Unfortunately, missed all 5 of his field goal attempts. Didn't look particularly great, but at least he got some time in like meaningful time, not just garbage time. So it's good to see him get some minutes. Theo Penson got first quarter minutes. He missed all of his shots. Kind of goes to show why he has the role that he has, which is, just kind of like the team cheerleader in a way. And I don't really mean that mockingly. Like, the Mavericks really respect Theo, and he brings an energy to the bench that can't be replaced, it feels like. So, JaVale McGee played 7 minutes, didn't look great defensively, scored 4 points. Frank Ntilikina played 22 minutes, 1 of 6, 3 points, had a really bad possession. I think it was an overtime where he kind of mishandled a pass cutting to the rim from Kemba. I mean, the bench only made 3 shots total. That's not great. It really took away from, like I said, an extremely inspiring performance by the Mavericks. They should have lost this game by 1 million points, considering the conditions. And they played their hearts out. I mean, I know that seems cliche to say, but they played some of the best defense I think I've seen them play all season, which is kind of funny because last season when the Mavericks went through their COVID and injury mess and they were playing guys signed on 10-day contracts, major starter minutes or major rotation minutes, the defense kind of turned around then too. So I don't know what it is about the Mavericks and having half the rotation out of a game for them to start really picking up the energy level, picking up the defensive intensity, but seemed to happen again tonight. I think what was really nice was it felt like the first time in a while that I saw glimpses of that Mavericks defense from the playoff run earlier this year, where they were just hellacious and running good 3-point shooters off the 3-point line, but then not conceding too much at the rim. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell both had subpar scoring games. They both finished with good point totals, 25 for Mitchell, 18 for Garland, but Garland was 8 of 18 from the floor, 1 of 6 from 3. Mitchell was 9 of 21 from the floor, 1 of 9 from 3. Mitchell in particular, who crushed them on pull-up threes in the Cleveland win earlier this week. I mean, the Mavericks made a spirited effort to make sure he didn't beat them from the 3-point line. They contested well, and then they ran him off the line pretty well also. It was really tough. The Mavericks kind of controlled a lot of this game. I mean, they didn't have a huge lead, but they had a 10-point lead in the third quarter. They entered the fourth quarter with a decent it was a 2-possession game going into the fourth. And, it felt like kind of the talent and the minute strain wore down on them. Every single Maverick starter played over 40 minutes. Finney Smith 40, and he only played 40 because he fouled out. Christian Wood 43, Tim Hardaway Jr. 44, Reggie Bullock 46, Kemba Walker 42. Again, the bench they couldn't play the bench any more than they did. If they would have lost in regulation. So it's such a shame. And the way this game ended, I think, I still feel pretty good about the effort because this was a loss through and through. They should have lost by double digits if we're being honest. But I think what's going to leave a sour taste in everyone's mouths is just the way this game ended. The Mavericks missed 2 free throws toward the end of regulation that would have given them the win if they would have made those free throws and then kept playing good defense. Kemba missed a free throw in the final seconds, and so did Christian Wood. when the Mavericks were trailing by 1 or 2 points. Then the final possession in overtime, it's a jump ball because Kemba took a pull-up jumper and got a wedgie with the ball stuck against the side of the rim and the backboard. So that they jump it up from half court. Mavericks win the jump ball with 10 seconds left, and the possession had no chance. It got passed up to Tim Hardaway Jr., who, despite the fact that the Mavericks were down one, looked like he was going to load up for a three and then kind of took a step back and pump fake instead of driving to the rim when Cleveland was on their heels. And by the time he did that, clock's ticking. There's like 5 seconds left. So he kind of throws a hand grenade to Christian, and Christian Wood gets the ball, and he's got 1 second left, and he's 30 feet from the basket, and he throws up a no chance, wild fading 3-pointer. And the Mavericks lose, and they had a timeout left. And it felt like pretty early, right after they won the jump ball, that possession was going to hell. And it sucks that Jason Kidd wasn't able to call a timeout. It's hard to be too critical of the team, considering the circumstances and considering really how hard they played. Even if they made some mistakes, it wasn't because of a lack of effort or energy or intensity, really. It was just lack of bodies, really. So it's hard to get too critical, but Jason Kidd has to help his team out when they are playing as hard as they possibly can to try to get this win. It kind of sucks that they kind of were let down by their coaching staff there in the final seconds. They just have to be better in those situations. They are not good in late game situations. They have to be better. Players have to be better. Coaches have to be better. And that's all there is to it. Kind of put a damper on, like I said, what was a really inspiring effort. If they kind of just lost in overtime by 5 or 6 points because Cleveland just kind of turned it on and turned it around, people probably aren't too upset. But just the way this game ended, the Mavericks just continually find ways to lose these last possession games. And it just puts a sour taste in your mouth. It's just unfortunate, but still hard to knock the effort. But the Mavericks are, moral victories are nice, but the Mavericks are once again 500. They can't seem to escape it. Every time they got 2 games up, they went right back under 500. Thankfully, the Western Conference is such a mess that the Mavericks are still 9th. They're still 2 games out of 6th. They're 4.5 games from first place. If they were 15-15 in the Eastern Conference, they would be 7 games back of first place. And they'd be 6.5 games back of second. They'd be 2.5 from the play-in tournament. So they'd be 3 games back of home court. So they're getting kind of lucky that the West is off to a really weird start where so many of these teams are kind of all bunched up in the middle. But they are slowly running out of time. Memphis is going on a run. New Orleans is going on a run. Denver's going on a run. Those 3 teams are starting to pull away from the pack just a little bit. Sacramento, Portland, Phoenix, these teams, the top 6, all of the teams in the top 6, except for Phoenix, are 6-4 or better in their last 10. So, those teams are starting to put it together. And if the Mavericks can't find a way to get away from 500, they might be looking at a spot in January where, they're not 2 games back to get out of the play-in. They could be 4 or 5. So the Mavericks desperately need to go on a run here. They still have time because the West is weird, and Golden State just lost Steph Curry for a couple months because of a shoulder injury. So, that's one team that you can maybe cross off the list in terms of worrying about for the next couple of weeks. So they get a good break, but they just have to start turning around. Their, moral victories are nice again, but they need to start stacking wins. And unfortunately, this game started a fairly long road trip for them. And the Mavericks are terrible on the road. They play 3 more games on the road, 2 back-to-back against Minnesota, Monday and Wednesday next week. And then they finish it out Friday against Houston. Minnesota is just a mess of a team. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They're actually 10th. They're below the Mavericks. So Mavericks have an opportunity there, but there's still enough talent on that team that you're a little scared. Even the Mavericks are 3-10 on the road. It's just it's a shame. And then Houston's already beaten the Mavericks once, so they can't be too confident going into that one. They need to be able to take care of business. So not really much else to say. Kirk couldn't join us because his internet is basically blown up. I don't think it's going to get fixed till maybe Monday or Tuesday of next week. So you might be hearing more from me if this doesn't get fixed soon. But thankfully, the Mavericks don't play another game till Monday, December 19th. So maybe it'll be fixed. So otherwise, we're just going to get out of here. Recap stats are going to be up on the site if you want to check out some more post-game coverage. And we'll have more stuff up on the site across the weekend as we get ready for a pretty important 3 set of games next week. All Western Conference teams. Then they play another Western Conference team, Los Angeles, on Sunday, December 25th, the Christmas game. So really important 4-game stretch here for the Mavericks to make some moves up the Western Conference standings. So again, I'm Josh Bowe for MavsMoneyball.com. You've been listening to Mavs Moneyball After Dark. Again, Mavericks lose 199 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Mavericks are now again back at 500, 15-15. They play again Monday night, December 19th at Minnesota. And we will talk to you guys later.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.